Action.
So we're posting our first video about the Christian Democratic Party that we want to start in the United States. It's the most popular party in Germany, and it has been for a very long time. And most European countries have had a Christian Democratic Party, and actually many Latin American ones as well. And I think I'm really good friends with the guy that's in one of the ones for Australia. But me and Reverend Gillespie, we were going to talk about it for a minute.
Yes, David and I have known each other for about 7 years now. He's my spiritual son. And as we talk, both of us are very politically aware and politically active as well. And he came to me and said, you know, maybe we should start a Christian Democratic Party. And I gave it some thought, and then I started thinking, you know, this is basically a movement that is needed here in the United States of America. We find that the left is too far left, and that the right now is becoming more and more right to the extreme. And what we have as principles, we are Christians. It's not just a label, but it's a reality of our belief system. And our political views should reflect what our faith truly is. I do not believe that the right represents true Christianity, with a lot of the stances that they take that are very contradictory. You know, why don't you tell me, you know, with them, and I'll go in as well, why is it that we decided to do this, and what are some of the contradictions that the right has that made us actually come to this point?
Well, I started out like as a lifelong Democrat. That's basically how my granddad kind of brought me up, and my granddad was like my hero to me. And he was a World War II Army veteran, and you know, grew up with like Roosevelt and all, and you know, still had a lot of attitudes like, you know, he would take care of people and, you know, give them work, and he always, you know, everything was about like helping the next person. And at the same time, you know, he was very traditional. He didn't really think like abortion was a very good idea. And, you know, he also basically believed that marriage was, you know, man and woman for life, and that church was actually a good thing rather than a bad thing. So you could say it was pretty much like a Christian Democrat. He basically was pro-life, pro-traditional family, anti-secularist, but he believed in a predominantly capitalist system that strongly supports, you know, the social programs and things like that that help the poor, the disabled, the elderly, you know, those that, you know, don't have the advantages of somebody really, really wealthy in society. So, you know, I just kind of stuck with how I grew up pretty much.
Well, my background, my father was a civil rights leader here in Southwest Virginia, and he was he was able to be used by the Lord to help integrate certain institutions during the 1960s. He also stood up for teachers' rights, African American teachers' rights. He grew up in Texas, where he saw a lot of discrimination and a lot of, hatred toward African Americans. He also was, like I said, a civil rights leader, so he was there on the front lines during the 1960s when Dr. King was marching. He was doing his part here in Virginia. And so I grew up with that as well. He was a pastor, just like I am. He did not believe in abortion. He did not believe in gay rights. He also definitely believed, though, that people needed a break. People needed help. He was for the middle class. He was not what you would call someone that was with a, how do they like to term it, class warfare. Okay, I think that's nothing but a fallacy. I think though that we're to a point now in this country where there is a redistribution of wealth. It's going to the top 1%, and it's tearing apart the middle class, which is the basic foundation of the country. So we agree with Republicans on 2 issues. Other than that, not too many. One, we definitely are in solidarity with them on abortion. We don't believe that is right. We believe that's against God's word. We're definitely against homosexuals having the right to marry, because marriage is God institution for one man and one woman. But other than that, I can't really go along with the doctrine of the right. I don't believe in wars and us going and fighting in all these places that we don't have any business in. I don't believe that it's proper for wars to be funded off the books, and the true cost of the war, when a Democrat gets in, it's all dumped on him. I don't believe that was fair. I do believe that we do need to do some reform with Medicare, Medicaid, but at the same time, I do not believe that we should take the elderly and throw them out in the streets, the disabled, the disenfranchised. They need a voice, and that's what I think we're about, is bringing a voice to the disenfranchised, the ones that Jesus actually came to save. He didn't necessarily come to the rich, the ones that had power. He was for the ones that were out of power, the ones that were disenfranchised. And that's basically what this is all about. We want to speak for those that are disenfranchised. And that's what we're standing for. And we want as many people as possible to join in with this. We have these right-wing Tea Partiers. We need to stand up and let our voices be known. I remember I was talking to you the other day in the car, and I was like, I believe that 90% of African Americans believe what we believe. I believe that 90% of Hispanics also are in solidarity with us. And I also believe there are at least 50% Caucasian people. And if we put this together, we could be a threat not only to Democrats and Republicans, but to everyone that would try to capture the country and drive it into the ground, either to the left or to the right. I think there's a threat with that. What do you think?
Definitely. I definitely side with the economists that tend to be, more progressive. They say economists never really agree with each other at all, but I do believe that social programs that help those less fortunate is a very moral issue. And I think that leaving them, basically to fend for themselves is just all out wrong. And even though I do believe that it's a good thing when, faith-based organizations take on a lot of this, that they can't do it alone. And I believe that, both government and, faith-based organizations, should have plenty of room to help those that are in need. So, yeah, on the economy, I definitely agree more towards the progressive end of things. And, the thing that really worries me as far as the other extreme is a lot of the, upsurge and like the secularist rhetoric and stuff, which I think is probably the worst part of the left side of things.
Exactly.